Ancient Rome, July 18th, 64 AD. The city is in flames. 10 of Rome's 14 districts are burning uncontrollably. Thousands are dead, and countless more have lost their homes. In the chaos, a terrifying rumor spreads. Emperor Nero, current ruler of the most powerful empire on Earth, is playing his fiddle while watching Rome burn from a palace tower. He's enjoying it, savoring the destruction, planning to rebuild the city in his own image. But that's not the worst of it. Nero had already murdered his own mother by having her stabbed in the womb. He'd kicked his pregnant wife to death. He'd married a boy and had him castrated. He'd set Christians on fire to light his gardens at night. This is the story of Emperor Nero, a man whose name has become synonymous with depravity and evil, a monster who murdered and tortured his way through Roman history. But monsters aren't born, they're created, and Nero's creation might be the greatest propaganda campaign in human history. A baby boy is born to Agrippina the Younger, great-granddaughter of Emperor Augustus. The child's name is Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, also known as Nero. The father, Gnaeus, is a cruel man, known for deliberately running over a child in the street for amusement. Gnaeus dies when the boy is just 3 years old, leaving young Nero vulnerable in the deadly game of Roman politics. His mother, Agrippina, is no ordinary woman. She's ambitious, cunning, and would stop at nothing to see her son claim the throne, even if it meant sacrificing anything or anyone in her path. After being exiled by her own brother, Emperor Caligula, she returns under the rule of Emperor Claudius. She has one goal: to place her son on the throne. So, she seduces her uncle, Emperor Claudius. They marry despite the scandal, and she convinces him to adopt her son. Nero is now in line for the throne. But Claudius has a biological son, Britannicus. He's an obstacle. So Agrippina ensures that Nero receives the best education from the philosopher Seneca, making him the more appealing heir. But Agrippina grows impatient. In 54 AD, Claudius dies suddenly after eating mushrooms. Ancient sources claim Agrippina poisoned him. Whether true or not, the timing is perfect. Nero becomes emperor at just 16 years old. His mother expects to rule through him, but Nero has other ideas. Initially, Nero is a popular emperor. He lowers taxes, gives generously to the people, and allows more freedom of speech. He's passionate about Greek culture, music, and the arts. For the first 5 years, under the guidance of Seneca and Burrus, his rule is considered a golden age. The people love him. But Agrippina isn't happy. She wants control and threatens to support Britannicus instead. So, Britannicus mysteriously dies at a dinner party. Ancient sources claim that Nero poisoned him. Now there are no rivals to the throne, but Nero's relationship with his mother deteriorates rapidly. Nero has had enough of his mother's interference. She's becoming a threat. He first tries to drown her by sabotaging her boat. But when she miraculously survives and swims to shore, he sends assassins to finish the job. Her last words were, "Strike the womb that gave birth to such a monster." They stabbed her multiple times. Nero comes to view the body and allegedly remarks on how beautiful his mother was. With Agrippina gone, Nero is truly free for the first time. And with his newly gained freedom, he divorces his wife Octavia and marries his mistress Poppaea. He spends extravagantly on the arts. He performs publicly as a musician and actor, activities considered deeply inappropriate for an emperor. The Roman elite are horrified, but the common people love it. Nero is breaking traditions that have kept aristocrats in power for centuries. He's giving the people games, entertainment, and the establishment a middle finger. But on July 18th, 64 AD, disaster strikes. A great fire erupts in the shops near the Circus Maximus and burns uncontrollably for 6 days, engulfing much of Rome into flames. Rumors immediately spread that Nero started it to clear land for his massive new palace. But these rumors don't make sense because Nero isn't even in Rome when the fire starts. He's in Antium. When he hears the news, he rushes back to the city and opens his gardens to refugees. He personally coordinates relief efforts and implements new building codes requiring fireproof materials. The fire creates a crisis, and Nero needs someone to blame, so he blames the Christians, who were a small group at the time. He launches the first imperial persecution of Christians, having them covered in animal skins and torn apart by dogs, or crucified and set on fire as human torches. This cruelty shocks even the common people, casting the first real shadows of doubt over their emperor. But this is just the beginning of his cruelty. As the empire bleeds, so too does its treasury, drained by the rebuilding of Rome and Nero's Golden House. His violence escalates, and his true depravity begins to take shape. In a fit of uncontrollable rage, Nero repeatedly kicks Poppaea, causing her death and that of their unborn child. A violent act so horrific it sends shockwaves through even his most loyal supporters. Not long after, he finds a boy named Sporus, said to resemble Poppaea, has him castrated and marries him. The Roman elite have had enough. In 65 AD, the Pisonian conspiracy forms, a plot by senators and nobles to assassinate Nero and replace him. But they're discovered and executed, and Nero becomes paranoid. Anyone who criticizes him might be plotting against him, so the executions increase. He travels to Greece to compete in the Olympic Games and wins every contest he enters. Who would dare defeat the emperor? While he's away, discontent grows, and the governors of Gaul and Spain revolt. When Nero returns to Rome, he finds his power slipping. The Senate declares him a public enemy, and his personal guards abandon him. With no one left to protect him, Nero flees Rome and hides in a villa belonging to one of his few remaining loyal freedmen. He receives word that the Senate has condemned him to be flogged to death, a brutal punishment usually reserved for slaves and common criminals. Realizing there's no escape, Nero panics. He begs his last loyal servants to kill him, but none would do it. Nero takes a dagger, but hesitates. His body shakes, overcome with fear, unable to act. Finally, his freedman Epaphroditus helps Nero drive the dagger into his throat. His final words are, "What an artist dies in me." He's 30 years old, and with him dies the Julio-Claudian dynasty that ruled Rome for nearly a century. After Nero's death, Rome plunges into chaos. The year of the four emperors sees Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian fight for the throne. Vespasian establishes the Flavian dynasty and needs to justify his right to rule. So, what do new dynasties do? They demonize the old ones. The three main historians who wrote about Nero, Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio, all wrote decades after his death, under emperors who needed Nero to be remembered as a monster. These writers were all from the senatorial class, the very people who hated Nero's policies and disregard for the noble establishment. All three practiced vituperatio, the Roman tradition where anything could be said about a political opponent, including complete fabrications. Many of the most heinous stories about Nero seem suspiciously like recycled myths. The murder of his mother was done using the same words from a popular play at the time. The fire descriptions were copied from accounts of other city destructions. His death coming exactly 10 years after his mother's, a poetic justice that seems too perfect. And in a fit of rage, killing his pregnant wife Poppaea, an act of cruelty that served to further paint him as the monstrous tyrant his enemies had already made him out to be. Some Christians even believed Nero was the Antichrist. That's how deeply his image penetrated the cultural consciousness. After his death, mysterious figures claiming to be Nero appeared multiple times, gathering followers who still loved him. The Nero we think we know, the monster who fiddled while Rome burned, was largely created by his enemies. His actual reign included positive reforms, cultural developments, and diplomatic successes that were overshadowed by the sensational stories. We'll never know the full truth about Nero, but his story serves as a powerful reminder. History isn't just written by the winners, it's also written by those with an agenda. Maybe Nero was truly a monster. Maybe he was simply a flawed ruler, caught between impossible expectations. Or maybe he was the victim of the most successful character assassination campaign in human history.